started. We haven't gone live yet.
Okie doke. I'll just be hanging by or hanging out.
And we just went live, so our meeting is now being broadcasted live on our YouTube channel. And it does look like we have a quorum present. Dana, would you like to start?
Thank you. Good morning. The time is 9:02, and I am calling this meeting of the Joint Labor Management Benefits Committee to order. Can I have a roll call, please?
Yes. 1 second. Let me share my screen, and then we can go through this one. Okay, I'm going to start in the order of the agenda. Dana Brown.
Present.
Tony Royster.
Present.
Matt Crawford.
Present.
Sitting in for Matt Rudnick. And I believe I saw Petty Santos. Petty, are you here sitting in for Holly Wolcott?
Yes, sorry, I had my mute on. I'm present.
Oh, no worries. No worries. And then on the labor side, I think I saw Shauna Janeway sitting in for Dave Standards.
I'm here, thanks.
And we have Paul Beachley, I believe.
Here, present.
And I think, do we have Jose Barba sitting in for Chad Boggio?
Yes, we do.
And then Luciana Georgia sitting in for Gary Glaze.
Georgie, yes, here.
Oh, sorry, thank you. And I think I just saw Matt Sabo. Are you here?
Yes, I'm here.
Thank you. Is there another member present that I did not call? Then we have 5 management members and 4 labor members with a quorum.
Thank you. Very good. Item number 2, public comment.
At this time, if you are participating by phone and like to make a public comment, please announce yourself by pressing *9 to request to speak. Seeing none and hearing none at this time.
Very good. Moving on to item number 3, our first action item, minutes. There's a recommendation to approve the minutes of August 4th, 2022. Are there any changes to the minutes? If there are no changes to the minutes, I will entertain a motion.
It's Tony Royster.
I'll make that motion.
Approve minutes as written.
I'll second it.
Very good. Paul, can I get a count, please? A vote.
Sure. And we'll go in the same order. So Dana, your vote.
Aye.
Dana votes aye. Matt Sabo, your vote.
Aye.
Matt votes aye. Tony, your vote.
Aye.
Tony votes aye. Matt Crawford, your vote.
Aye.
Matt votes aye. Petty, your vote.
Aye.
Petty votes aye. Shauna, your vote.
Aye.
Shauna votes aye. Paul, your vote.
Aye.
Paul votes aye. Jose, your vote.
Aye.
Jose votes aye. And Luciana, your vote. Luciana?
Sorry about that. Aye.
No worries. And Luciana votes aye. It's unanimous. The motion passes.
Thank you, Paul. Moving on to action item number 4, which is committee report 22-49. This is the determination regarding teleconferencing option for JLMBC meetings pursuant to Assembly Bill 361. The recommendation is that the JLMBC adopt the resolution as amended by the Assembly Bill that due to the ongoing COVID-19 state of emergency proclaimed by the governor on March 4th, 2020, that we will continue to conduct JLMBC meetings conducting JLMBC meetings in person without continuing to provide a teleconference or video conference option for the members, and the public would present imminent risk to the health and or safety of attendees. I will entertain a motion.
I'll make that motion. Paul Beachley.
I think I have a motion, I believe by Mr. Beachley. And do I have a second? Yes, do I have a second, Mr. Royster? Did I hear you?
Yes, you can second. Tony
Lovely.
Royce.
Thank you. Can I get a vote, please?
Sure. We'll go in the same order. So Dana, your vote.
Aye.
Dana votes aye. Matt Zabel, your vote.
Aye.
Matt votes aye. Tony, your vote.
Aye.
Tony votes aye. Matt Crawford, your vote.
Aye.
Matt votes aye. Petty, your vote.
Aye.
Petty votes aye. Shawnee, your vote.
Aye.
Matt votes aye. Paul, your vote.
Aye.
Paul votes aye. Jose, your vote.
Aye.
Jose votes aye. And Luciana, your vote.
Aye.
Luciana votes aye. It's unanimous. The motion passes.
Thank you. Action item number 5, committee report 2250, employee benefits trust fund staffing reimbursements, first quarter fiscal year 22-23. I do think we have a presentation from staff.
Yes, good morning. This is Ted Vasquez, the Employee Benefits Division. Committee Report 2250 requests that the committee approve the reimbursements from the Employee Benefits Trust Fund for Personnel Department salary costs of the 4 positions serving the Allywell program and the 2 positions serving the LiveWell program. Attachment A of the report provides the calculation of these costs. And the Allywell program's total reimbursement amount for the first quarter is $191,453.02. And the LiveWell program's total reimbursement amount is $105,669.93. And that concludes this report.
Thank you, Ted. Do we have any questions or discussions surrounding the report? Okay, hearing none, the recommendation before us is that the JLMBC approve A, reimbursements from the Employee Benefits Trust Fund for Personnel Department salary costs of staff providing administrative report of the Allywell program in the total indicated, inclusive of first quarter of fiscal year 22-23, and B, reimbursements from the Employee Benefits Trust Fund wellness subaccount for Personnel Department salary costs of staff providing administrative support of the LiveWell Wellness Program in the amount indicated, inclusive of the first quarter of fiscal year 22-23. I'll entertain a motion.
I'll
Move
make
to
that
approve.
motion to approve.
I'm sorry, I hear 2 voices. Just please indicate your name.
Paul Beachley, I'll move to approve it.
Thank you. I have a motion to approve from Mr. Beachley. Do I have a second?
This is Luciana. I'll second it.
Thank you. Seconded by Luciana. Luciana, Paul, can I please get a vote?
Yes, same order. So we'll start with you, Dana. Dana, your vote.
Aye.
Dana votes aye. Matt Zabel, your vote.
Aye.
Matt votes aye. Tony, your vote.
Aye.
Tony votes aye. Matt Crawford, your vote.
Aye.
Matt votes aye. Petty, your vote.
Aye.
Petty votes aye. Shawnee, your vote.
Aye.
Shauna votes aye. Paul, your vote.
Aye.
Paul votes aye. Jose, your vote.
Aye.
Jose votes aye. And Luciana, your vote.
Aye.
Luciana votes aye. It's unanimous. The motion passes.
Thank you, Paul. Moving into our informational items, item number 6, benefit provider presentation, LiveWell third-party administrator. I'll turn it over to our presenters.
Thank you. Hi, I'm Sadhna Paralkar with Siegel. With me, we have 2 more colleagues from Siegel. Steve Murphy is on the phone, and I also have our newest employee, Stacy Rossi, who will be engaged in any kind of a wellness initiative on behalf of Siegel. And we are happy to help you guys with the LimeEd program introduction here. So next slide, please. I'm just going to give you a brief overview of who LimeEd is and what they do for the city today. So essentially, they are a well-being program manager, and they help the city foster employee well-being by all kinds of avenues, digital or online content, delivering activities to match the employee's individual health and well-being goals. Essentially, it is what a wellness program does. However, we have some limitations about how LimeAid works for the employees today. They implemented during July 2019, so you can say it was 1 year before, kind of, or 9 months before the COVID-19 began. It's a voluntary program. We do have limitations about transferring data, so limited access to employees' health plan election or mobile number or email address, etc., to reach the in a timely manner to the member of the city. The city health plans, as you know, are fully insured with Anthem and Kaiser. So the data outreach, the voluntary nature of the Live Well program, and then obviously the COVID-19 pandemic. These challenges, despite these challenges, the satisfaction level among engaged in the Live Well participant exceeded the LimeAid's benchmarks, which is the good news. So, and number 3 item we want to talk about is the next generation platform, LimeAid One. It does elevate the employee experience using enhanced artificial intelligence that includes social connection and recognition, organization update, and links into the city's benefits and employee resources. So without breaching confidentiality or any HIPAA rules, they will be able to kind of interact with the other resources that city employees have, all of which should accelerate the future Live Well participation and engagement. So those are just our 3 cents, 3 points, so to speak. With this, we are going to turn it over to LimeAid to present from here on.
Thank you. Can everybody hear me okay?
Yes.
Awesome. So my name's Bryn Klein. I work for LimeAid. I've been with LimeAid since January, and I've had the honor to work with the Live Well team. So yes, those 3 bullet points kind of summarize what we're going to look into a little bit more today, on a little bit about where we are and where we are going. We want to go to the next slide. Yep, there we go. So I'm going to do a slight overview of kind of LimeAid, and then we're really going to dive into kind of those 2 parts of the Live Well program from the 2019 to June 2022, and then this program year from July 2022 and beyond. What LimeAid is, we are an experience company, employee experience company, software company. We are backed by science, and really what our goal is to help organizations create a supportive environment where employees feel supported, employees can live with purpose, and they can be their best selves. Next slide. We are backed by science. We have a LimeAid Institute that works with other research companies, works directly with our customers, really to understand kind of what employees are looking for, what they're needing, and how we can leverage our technology to provide the support for them. When we do all this research, we find that, across the board, employees who feel that the organization's care are going to create a better work environment for themselves, also benefits for the organization. So more engaged, less likely to leave the organization, more likely to recommend it as a place to work, and also to come to work with less stress and more focus on being successful at work. When we look at LimeAid's 4 key areas and what we really do, our purpose is to help customers, help organizations amplify care every day. And we do that through really looking to address whole person well-being. So not just physical, not just emotional, but really a whole person. What kind of support and resources do they need? We also, and this is something we've really learned and enhanced in our new platform, is creating connections and having more modern communications. So knowing that we're in this kind of space where it's harder to connect and it's more difficult to really stay up to speed on communications that you might want to know or need to know, how do we leverage our space to make that easier for our customers? And then also managers and leaders, they're the hardest role out there. How can we help support them to better do their job, to help them manage their own wellness, and also to support their teams and well-being? When we combined all of these, we kind of look at this as saying, like, LimeAid can be the expert to employee well-being, but then our customer, your organization, is the expert to your own employees, your organization, what works and what doesn't. And when we combine them together, we can create a really good program and partnership where we can create meaningful results. In this next slide, this is just an example of an organization that we work with. I think it's good to kind of show studies where we had a true partnership with this organization. They helped us fully understand where their challenges are, how their organization structured. And then we came in with, okay, if these are the things we want to solve, what are the tactics we want to put in place? And then what results are we measuring and did it work? So here we wanted to increase participation. So we did a couple different tactics. One that really made an impact was getting executives involved. So leaders being able to support, to vocally support and encourage program participation. And that led to a big jump in participation. The other one is really high-risk employees. So we know the high-risk employees typically cost organizations the most money, and definitely not just, in medical pieces, but also in terms of being productive at work. And so they had a high obesity rate. There are a lot of metabolic syndrome, diabetes risks. So we partnered with a diabetes program expert. We leveraged our technology, our communication to really promote and reach out and gather and get those that were at risk to participate in the program. We had 74% complete the program and 93% reduce their body weight in 16 weeks. So again, just an example of how our partnerships together can really produce great results. Now we're going to dive in to Live Well. And we can just go right to the next slide. So this is really a summary of Live Well and Limeade partnership from July 2019 to June 2022. So we designed the program. It was intentionally structured to be voluntary and to be a little bit more of a resource than a strategic business initiative. We were on our classic platform, which great platform, but a little less opportunity with the communications that we have now. We provided 2 employee experience coordinators to help you all with facilitating the program, with the communications, really just to kind of be your administrative support. And then the big whammy was that we launched this right where the pandemic was starting. So definitely had a lot of barriers that we faced, things that we need to overcome, things we needed to change, but definitely some challenges that were not in our favor to have the first few years be really successful. With the city's program, they focus in 4 of these 4 pillars. So we look at prevention, nutrition, physical health, and stress, and try to provide resources in all 4 of those areas. Okay. So when we look at measuring success, so is the program working? Is it successful? We look at it in 3 different areas. The first one is, are they choosing to participate? And are they choosing to stay engaged in the program? And what kind of things are they doing within the program? When we look here, now this slide's busy, but I'll explain it briefly, and then a couple of the next slides are in a similar format. So when we describe, first, I guess the left side where we have the 2019, the 2020, and the 2021 data, that's specifically the cities of Los Angeles's data in registration rates, completing the well-being assessment, monthly active user rates, and completing level 2 or above. So the first 2 are telling us, are they choosing to participate? The last 2 lines are more of, are they staying engaged and continuing to stay engaged in the program? And then we compare them onto the right side of the government industry book of business, and then also our Limeade book of business. So what we see here is that registration is low. It is in participation. It is increasing slightly from year to year, but it's lower than both our government book of business and our Limeade book of business. When we dive into the type of activities that we are doing, employees do seem to gravitate towards the themed quarterly activities. They also really embrace the team activities and the physical health activities, which I believe the physical health was initially the big focus. So it does look like the things that we're pushing and promoting are the things that are also drawing in the most participation.
I have a couple of questions on this slide, if I could.
Sure.
I just want to make sure I understand the numbers,
Absolutely.
so I know what I'm looking at. Because it's a lot of numbers, which is good, which I love numbers. I just want to make sure I understand them.
Okay.
So when we're looking at the book of business numbers, what time frame is that? Is that directly comparable to the 21-22 column? Is that the same time frame, or how do I?
Yeah, so our book of business, because our customers are all starting at different times, It's generally it's the last full year. So
Okay.
both would be 2021 to 2022, like the last full year.
Okay. And then the other question I have when I look at this, and maybe I'm not understanding it, but it looks to me like there's been increasing registration, but somehow at the same time decreasing engagement. So I'm a little concerned about that, just unless I'm reading it wrong, but that's how it looks to me. So that's an odd disparity. I would expect to see if more people are registering and more people are getting involved, that would mean more engagement. So are there more people registering and then just not doing anything? Or is that there's not that sustained engagement from the original people registering? Or I kind of want to understand that a little bit more. It's an odd dynamic.
Sure. Yes. So I think there's a couple different things, and I think some of the data that we'll dive into will help answer a little bit of that. But when we look at monthly active users, those are those that are returning to the site regularly every month. That's pretty good across the board. We have seen a decrease just in the last year or two because of COVID, because of just workloads, because of just the challenges with really like the communication, that it is normal that we see that a little bit. With the well-being assessment, your well-being assessment is set up to be, it's optional. It's just one of the many activities. And so I think what we see there too is when people initially go in, they take that because then it tailors the recommended programs for them, but they really should take it every year. And a lot of times they don't go in and redo it, which then the less the tailored pieces are coming towards them. So we've talked with the Live Well team and doing a promotion around completing the well-being assessment and why it's valuable, not just because it gives us data, but also it helps tailor the program to the individual, is something we're going to focus on more. The other piece I will say is when we look at, actually, if you're okay, we can go to the next slide because it might explain it a little bit better.
Yeah. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. Yeah. So then the next slide of what are the things, we asked that question there where you see the bubbles. What are the areas that you want to see us improve? And the largest one we see is the rewards. So the reward system that you all have in place is more of like the tangible kind of external prize focus. And that tends to decrease. We see less and less are achieving that if they don't value the incentive that they can get. So when I see that, and then I also see those lower numbers, it kind of leads to that people are less motivated to earn as many points because the incentive or the reward is less motivating, if that makes sense.
It does. Thank you. So this data here is all from surveys. So is this like, how are the surveys done? Is it like after you complete something, then you get a pop-up, and like how much? I know sometimes there's not a lot of people who complete them. So I kind of want to know how many people.
Yeah, so we do periodic kind of like pop-up pulse surveys based on how often somebody's using the platform. So if I go in every week, I might get one once every other week or once a month. If someone goes in less, they'll get them a little less frequency. So it's kind of like our intelligence adjusts it to the user. So people are being asked these questions pretty regularly if they're going in and using the platform. So this is only surveying those that are in, but when we're asking them, they are agreeing that they do like the program, and they are agreeing 75% and strongly agree, and 17% agree that the resources in the program is helping them to improve their well-being. So the summary of that is participation is low. We want that higher, but those that are using the platform are really enjoying it and find it to be valuable. So what we really want to focus on and what we're working with the Live Well team is how do we get more people to the platform so they can experience it and also benefit the way those are that are using it.
Right. Okay. Thank you.
Yep. Next slide. So the third factor that we look at when we're looking at success is what are the health risks? Do we have programs and resources in place to support those health risks? And are we making a change? So the 4 dimensions here, now I will mention there's 2 slides. This one is looking at the total population. The next slide will look at just those that we have identified at risk that have stayed involved in the program from 2019 to 2022. In this one, we're looking at our 4 main dimensions of well-being, and that's the emotional well-being, work well-being, physical well-being, and financial well-being. And those are kind of our buckets. And then those little boxes below, it dives in more to the specific areas that we're measuring that we look at a little bit more to find it, to better understand our population. Because we have low participation, we use this data, but we love to get more people and get more data because then I think we could better respond to and better support all of the city of Los Angeles. So here you can see that work well-being is at the greatest risk. And we're pretty neutral with emotional well-being. We haven't really had much change. Physical has gone up slightly, financial has gone up slightly. So really kind of in the same space, but we have opportunity really, I think, to focus a little bit on work well-being and helping people to feel a little bit more supported at work. Okay, next slide. So here now we're looking at the at-risk employees. So this question is a little different. What we're trying to ask here is the program impacting the employees that are at risk? So typically they end up costing more money than others when it comes to medical and productivity. And so here, this is really great to see those that were involved and that stayed involved. We are seeing improvements across the board in all of the areas. We are seeing improvements in stress. We are seeing improvements in emotional, work, physical, and financial well-being. The biggest improvement we've seen, which also again related to dollars, is improvements in healthy blood sugar. So 22.7% of those that were at a higher blood sugar actually improved that into a healthy blood sugar range. So those that are at risk that are using the program, we are seeing positive impacts across the board in their overall health and well-being.
I have a few questions on this. I want to make sure I understand. So for when you say at risk, how is that, like, what's the metric for that?
So the data down at the bottom says it, but it's very hard to read. So basically it's anyone who in these 4 areas scores below a 3.5 out of 5 in the beginning, the first year. So the N is going to be really different in the different areas because you might have more people that scored lower in emotional than in work. So it varies in numbers, but it's anyone whose risk score is below a 3.5.
And that score is a self-assessment? Is that me saying, you know, that my blood sugar is high or my whatever?
It is. We have some customers that do the biometric screenings and actually we import the data. I don't know. I know something was talked about. I don't know if we ever actually got to do that because of COVID and all those things. So it's pretty much self-reported at this time.
Okay. And then the one metric on here, the work one, maybe that's a typo because it says 3.8 on the left and then 3. So I just wanted to double check.
That is a typo.
Should it be 2.8? Is that what I was?
Yes. Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I just wanted to double check because I looked at it and went, why is that up? Okay.
You are right.
I figured it was probably something simple. Okay.
Yes, I can update that if you want and get it out just to have it for the record. But yeah, because it wouldn't have been on there if it was 3.8 because it's 3.5 or lower.
Okay. So, yeah, I was wondering. Okay.
Thank you.
I just wanted to double check. Yeah, no worries. No worries. And then when it says on the left, the 45.2, when it says from neutral or suffering to thriving, what do those words refer to, like as far as the data? Are those certain scores that those relate to, and what does that correlate to? Yep.
So there are a couple questions that we have that are specifically around stress. And so the question, 45.2% that stress scores showed that they were neutral or suffering, so not in a good space, are now to a thriving space. So their stress has been, they've worked on and improved their stress level.
Okay, got it. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. There's a lot of questions for one slide. Sorry.
No, ask away. I know it's a lot of numbers, it's a lot of data, and it's a lot. So I appreciate the questions.
Thank you so much.
All right, next slide. All right, so from all of this that we learned, now we come up with, like, this is our story, our perceived, we've got all this different data, we've heard different things, we've had conversations. This is where we see that there's opportunities to overcome some of the barriers. And we really put them in 3 different buckets. I think one, the organizational support is something that we can really work on. You are in a tough industry where there's a lot of different types of work, you're all spread out, lots of locations. It's a challenge in itself to provide full organizational support. But what are things that we can do to really show the organization cares? And this is a resource that we want them to participate in, is a value add for them. So those are conversations that we've been having. The other areas are really around the communications. There are lots of awesome communications out there. We have a lot of different spaces where we have Live Well communications, also where you have your City of Los Angeles communications. What we hear is that when there's a lot of places and it's not really one place to go, employees get confused. They're not sure where they need to go to find what they need to know or what they want to know. So looking at opportunities to kind of better centralize and drive people to the Limeade platform where they can get all the information they need and link right out to the other places. I'll go over that a little bit in a little bit when we look at the next couple slides. And then the last thing is incentives. Like I said, I think, the external motivators like the prizes and things like that are less more of like feeling and recognition. Those are really to drive people just to get into a platform, and then they need something to keep them there. It doesn't appear that those extrinsic motivators are doing quite what we want them to do because we still have low participation. Next slide. Okay, so now this leads us to where we are today. So now we're in program year 4 and 5. This is our kind of life after the pandemic, even though it's still there, but how are we responding to this new normal? We still have our coordinators to help support you. We've upgraded to our Limeade One platform, and the fees have been lowered, knowing that these last 3 years have been challenging and participation has been low. The fees have been lowered to kind of create a better space for all of us for the next 2 years. And I think it really creates opportunity because we've learned so much from, just the human nature and how people have responded to really kind of redefine what the Live Well approach looks like. And so we still have our 4 pillars, but we are doing a little bit more around how do we create that team environment? How are we really focusing on meaningful work, still continue with physical activity, and how do we make more of an inclusion connection for our employees? Next slide. Okay, so Limeade One. So really what it is, it's an enhanced experience for organizations, for employees, and for partners. So there's lots of opportunity for us to partner, I think, better with your benefits outside of what we offer. So how can we better partner and promote the resources that are available for your employees? The idea of Limeade One, I think the pink line kind of like around along the bottom is we've created better technology to create more connection, to better streamline communications, to create a more flexible and customizable approach for an individual, for a team, and for the organization, and then ultimately trying to make sure that we are still proving and showing the results that we're trying to drive and to attain. Just wanted to share a few slides of the City of Los Angeles in action. So some of the things that we've done now that we're on Limeade One. So Limeade One allows for that place for recognition. So any employee can go in, because we have this kind of updates communication feed. You can go in and you can select, you can send a cheers, you can comment, or you can post something that you're doing for your own well-being. But there's opportunity to go there and post and recognize another employee, and also to like and comment on it. So this first one, Daniel had sent a post that said, "Well done to Leo and to Brianna for kicking off Limeade One." There's likes that you can see below that. And then Jenny commented that the new app is looking awesome. So that is an interactive space for employees. There's also a space, where you can do program updates. So specifically Live Well updates. And we haven't done this yet, but we can also create a channel for business updates, benefit updates. It's a place that's for wellness and well-being, but it can also be a hub for other organizational wide communications. We can make it as big or small as we'd like it to be. And then that third part there is the peer-to-peer connection. So this is an individual who posted that they wanted to make some time for yoga in the morning. Beautiful view. I live in Pennsylvania, so my view outside my window is very different than that. Beautiful fall leaves, but that just looks amazing. So this particular employee wanted to share, I am making time for my own well-being, and I'm ready to have this Friday and this week start right. So again, social connection. Go to the next slide, please. And then this is an example, and this is where we are now too, with what I said is the hub. Extensions and services where employees can go and access with one click to other areas. So we worked with the LiveWell team in June, and I guess May and June, to really define what are your benefits, what's the description of them, and how can we coordinate them into this platform so employees can go and click to any of these resources and get right there from one spot. These are the ones that we have in there now. There's opportunities to add more, but this is kind of our first step at let's start creating this ecosystem and integrate all of the employee benefits into one spot. Next slide. So where we are today, what is our next steps, our top recommendations? If any of you have not downloaded the app or gotten on Limeade One, this should work. You should be able to get your phone out and you should be able to hold it right up to that QR code. We're doing a lot more communications with this QR code to get it out in all of our communications, because we really, again, we want to drive registration. We want to get employees onto the platform. We're having conversations about some leadership messaging. We're talking about doing some more targeted communications to groups we've identified could really help us to promote the program. So that's kind of really our focus from now until January. And then we want to have some conversations more about, what does the health plan, what are we seeing as health risks? What are the programs that are existing out there, and how can Limeade help support us promoting and extending those programs and opportunities to employees? And then finally, I would say our last one is to really continue building a community. So how do we make this so that employees know this is a place I go to find out information I want to know, information I need to know, and to just really support myself and my well-being. I believe that's the end. Really excited to continue working with all of you. We've been doing some really great things, having some awesome conversations. I love seeing that the program is beneficial for those that participate. So now we just want to get more people on so we can get more data and we can continue supporting your employees. Any questions?
Thank you so much for that in-depth presentation. I mean, I'm always taken aback when I see, what all is happening, amongst our staff, and what things that they like, they don't like, and what they participate in, and certainly the direction that that you spoke of at the end in terms of where you'd like to go, really speaks to the way that the city of Los Angeles is trying to sort of rebrand itself as, a caring employer. And not that we're not, but people just don't see government work in that way. And, as we try to, solicit interest from the current candidate pool, that becomes more, what they're interested in, not so much in stability or even pay, but more in, what kind of an employer are you, and do you care about me? And are you going to, help sort of balance my work life and help me prioritize the things that are most important to me? And so I think that this is a great direction that we're going in that will support that narrative. So I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Are there any other comments or questions from the group?
I think about, I imagine, if we had 75% of the city of Los Angeles employees on this platform, totally engaging in it, how amazing and unique and special that would be for a government organization. So right. I'm setting the goal high here for our LiveWell team.
Lovely. Thank you, Bryn. And I'm here to testify that the QR code does work. It did work for me. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
If there's nothing else, I think we're going to move on to the next informational item, item number 7, Committee Report 2251, which is our catastrophic illness update.
Thank you, Dana. So this report is an update of where we're currently at with our catastrophic illness program. Our catastrophic illness program is the support program for employees that have a catastrophic medical reason or situation and have exhausted all their other accumulated time and still have a catastrophic need to be able to have health services. And so we have this program that we offered as a pilot program back in the 90s, about 30 years ago, to be able to give them compensated hours so they continue our medical benefits for up to 6 months. We had brought this draft ordinance, or so the past history is that we had operated this program for a number of years, but the authority, the ordinance behind it had expired. So we wanted to bring the program back up to date and back up to authority by creating an ordinance and adding the provision of the catastrophic program into the administrative code. We had brought that forward to the JLMBC in March. The JLMBC had reviewed the draft ordinance. The intent of the program, the option is just continue the regular administration that we've been doing for the past 30 years, to not change anything at this time, but just bring that forward. When we brought the ordinance forward for consideration to City Council before it made it to PA, there were some questions from CAO to be able to change some of the provisions within the body of the ordinance. Those are listed, and this is the reason for this update. Those are listed in this document to identify what those physical changes to the draft ordinance are. Staff believes, and I myself believe in reviewing these changes, that they do not change at all our intent of the process or our current administration of the program. The requested changes are narrowing or clarifying the definition of employee, to clarify the application process itself and the eligibility process, to address where the funds of compensated leave are, how this program actually works. So in the concept of the program, we are providing compensation to employees when they've exhausted all their compensation sources. So there's a funding mechanism there that CEO identified needs to be clarified in the ordinance language, and also removing the reference to the bank of time, because in this function of what we've been doing, this is a paid compensation from department funds. So those are the suggested changes. The full ordinance itself, as revised, is in attachment B, exhibit B, at the very bottom of this document. And this is for any type of comment that JLMBC has, but staff believes this is perfectly acceptable and able to move forward as revised.
Paul, I have one question. Could you explain again why section E is removed? I want to make sure I understand, because it is like a big chunk.
It's complicated, and we've had kind of a difficult time explaining it before, but I'll give it a shot. So the original way the program was set up was there was a time bank. When we talked about the time bank before, in function, the time bank is a construct, and we really are not necessarily tied to using the bank in construct. So when we're actually applying this, and we're applying the funds directly, it is compensation funds that don't really need to have the bank. And we wanted to, in the previous conversation, remove the concept of the donation part, right? Because we're not necessarily a donation program. It wasn't set up that way. So there's really no need for a bank in that purview. So that's the reason why the recommendation was to remove all language towards the accounting of the bank process itself. In section 2 specifically, even though we had made the argument that we're not really a donation program, we don't need a bank for hours to go into, we still reference the time bank as that credit. And so it was just the argument to take it out altogether. And again, that doesn't change this. That's how our current structure is. That's how we're currently administering it. So there is no tangible change to this change in the language itself.
Does removing that have the effect of providing the department with a little more flexibility in just the day-to-day process, or?
Actually, this goes, I think, a little bit more towards the prior section with this revision here in the compensated leave portion. So in how we've been administering the program, the funding mechanism is from the current hours budgeted within each department. So in the construct of the concept of how we're doing things, an employee applies, we approve the employee, we're telling the department how the compensated hours should be used. We're directing them to say this many hours are applied to the bank and need to be used over this period of time. So we're providing the authority on use. hold the authority of the funding mechanism.
Okay, I see. Okay. Thank you. That helps.
So Paul, I just want to make sure that I understand, this is not something that needs a JLMBC approval. This is just, or will this come back to the JLMBC?
Oh, no, in the function, that's a great question. In the function of how we've gone through this, JLMBC approved this over a year ago with the direction to move forward in creating the draft ordinance. And so when we had gone to council that first time, way back in 2021, the direction from council was for a city attorney to draft the ordinance and submit it back. So there's no action for JLMBC to approve or change. It was city attorney's requirement to draft the ordinance. These changes are just an FYI. In our understanding, and city attorney concurs, there's no physical change to the program that would require JLMBC to consider adopting or needing to take action. Because we're still able to do exactly what we're trying to do. So this is just a notice, nothing else. If there is a desire to make changes to the program at some point in time, that would be a completely separate action, a completely separate process.
Understood. Okay, thank you. Do any of the other members have any questions or discussion? Okay. Hearing none, thank you so much, Paul, for that presentation. And we will move on to our next informational item, item number 8, which is a committee report 2252 regarding Live Well program update.
Good morning. I'm going to be going over the Live Well program report for September of this year. Starting at the beginning, we give a rundown of the September newsletter. To promote participation, the Live Well team is having a raffle giveaway. To enter, an employee must complete a wellness questionnaire and has the opportunity for an extra entry by referring a friend. And we included an announcement of our upcoming 3rd annual 5K turkey trot, the schedule of live fitness classes and cooking class offered via Zoom, a testimonial from a library employee, and ended with a healthy jambalaya recipe. Moving down to part 2 of the report, we include a summary of the traffic on our website. Item A reflects of around 1,500 unique visitors. In regards to page views, September had a little over 3,200 views, which is a steady number compared to last month. Similar to last month, the graph in section B reflects home wellness events and the employee assistance program as the most viewed pages in September. And then moving on, we see the social media posts shared on Instagram and Facebook and included breakdown of the Zoom exercise classes. We offered 55 live classes with 657 participants. The 3 most popular classes were Zumba, stretching, and cardio kickboxing. These are the most important highlights for Live Well in September. Does anybody have any questions?
Zumba is always so very popular in kickboxing, always.
I find Zumba very difficult. I like the kickboxing class though.
Okay, thank you so much, Brianna. Moving on to our next informational item, Committee Report 2253, which is again Live Well projects and activities this time.
Good morning, JLMBC members. This is Chung, and I will be going over some of the highlights from the projects and activities report. First up on page 1, we have an update on the LifeWorks acquisition by TELUS Corporation. Now, at the prior JLMBC meeting, a question was brought up regarding a potential name change for LifeWorks. LifeWorks has advised that there is no impending name change, but following the release of this report, they later clarified that strategic integration discussions were started upon the close of the acquisition. And while branding will be discussed as part of that discussion, they will continue to operate under the LifeWorks brand at the present time. and will update the city if and when a direction is decided on branding. Moving on to the bottom of page 1, we have an update on the iMed Vision pop-up clinics. I am happy to report that clinics were resumed last month. The clinics were held on October 17th through the 20th at City Hall East. City employees and their families were able to schedule a comprehensive exam and shop for frames on site. More detailed information about the pop-up clinic attendance will be provided to the JLMBC at its next meeting. Okay. Next up on page 2, we have an update on the 2023 open enrollment. As you all are aware, our open enrollment period this year began on October 2nd and ends on November 1st. Following the close of open enrollment, staff and LifeWorks are working on reviewing and validating the OE elections and confirmation statements that will be mailed to all LAWell members. The confirmation statements will also be posted to the members' account as well. Members will have one more opportunity to make corrections to their 2023 open enrollment elections during the correction period, which will close this year on November 18th. Next up is an update on the procurement schedule that was brought to the JLMBC at its October 6th meeting. Staff is running a little behind schedule at this time, but is working to catch up and is planning on bringing one draft procurement to the JLMBC for review at each of the next 3 JLMBC meetings. Now, moving over to page 3 is a quick update on the LAWell Program Benefits Trust Fund report for fiscal year 2021 and 2022. The report was submitted to the Personnel Audits and Animal Welfare Committee and was then passed on to the City Council for review, where it was approved at their October 21st meeting. And that brings us over to our staffing update. And Paul will be starting this section off for us.
Thank you, Chung. And I wanted to start the update with saying we have held interviews for the LAWell Plan Manager position. And I am very glad to say that we made an offer and Chung Tran accepted that position. So he has been promoted to LAWell Plan Manager. He brings a very keen eye for detail and a great work ethic to the program. I am very excited to see what he's going to be able to do with the LAWell program. And Chung, you can go ahead and continue.
Paul, thank you very much for the kind words. Thank you, Paul. I'm very honored to have been offered the promotion and look forward to continue working with the LAWell program, the employee benefits team, the JLMBC, and with our LAWell program partners. Continuing on with the staffing update, we have two updates to announce. First update involves someone you are already familiar with. Ted Vasquez has accepted the Senior Benefits Analyst position. Ted has been a part of the member services team, and we're pleased that he will continue to be so. Our second announcement, I am happy to announce that Araceli Goza has accepted the Senior Administrative Clerk position. Araceli had previously worked for member services and will be rejoining our team. And with that, that brings us to the end of this report. I'm happy to answer any questions you may have.
Congratulations to all the new staff. I'm pleased that we're making some progress on that. I know you guys have been impacted for a while now, so kudos.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, that goes double for me. Congratulations to everyone. You know, this, just to point this out though, you see in the promotions that we speak to, it creates vacancies, right? It's like you just can't seem to catch up for as many as you hire. But I mean, of course, that's not this meeting, and that's a different conversation for a different time. But I just kind of wanted to sort of point that out. Like, I'm like, you know, as you try to catch up, you fill the positions in member services, and then positions, you know, become vacant, as, the best candidates are often those candidates that, have been there in the trenches for some time. So congratulations to you all. Do we have any additional comments or questions about this report? Okay, hearing none, moving to our concluding items, requests for future agenda items. Do we have any requests from our members for future agenda items? Okay, hearing none today. You'll have another opportunity at our next meeting. Our next meeting dates are scheduled for December 1st, 2022, which is a regular meeting. And then another meeting in December that the date has not been determined yet, a special meeting. And then to pick up our regular meeting schedule in January 5th, 2023. And that clears the desk here. The time is 9:57 a.m. and this meeting is adjourned. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye now.